Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Internet land. Just giving it 1 minute for Instagram to catch up, and then we'll go live everywhere. So just give us 1 second for the Instagram algorithm to do what it needs to do. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad you guys are here from YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you are tuning in from. So grateful to have you. Okay, I don't know what's going on with Instagram. It's taking longer than usual, so we are just going to start anyway. Sorry, folks over on Instagram. So welcome to DIY Wellness. This is the show for people taking personal growth into their own hands. I'm your host, Brian Hogan, life coach, filmmaker, clinical therapist, and founder of the S.H.I.F.T model. S.H.I.F.T stands for Somatic, Holistic, Internal Family Transcendence, and it's a method combining nervous system regulation and internal family systems or parts work that allows us to get more connected to the parts of ourselves and what they're struggling with. Today, what I want to do is talk about complaint restraint, how to transcend your misery loops, because complaining is something that's so deeply embedded in our culture that we don't even realize we're doing it. And in fact, we say outright explicitly, we can't, or we're not going to, and then we do anyway. And like, this isn't a judgment. I do it too. We all do it. And yet complaining has some really negative side effects. And so I want to get into this, how we can transform complaining into healthy emotional processing, and then how those two things, complaining or emotional processing, lead to extremely opposite outcomes. So we really want to understand this. I had an interaction yesterday that really stuck with me. I was at a security gate and I said, "Hi, how are you?" And right before he lets me in, he goes, "Can't complain." And then immediately follows it with, "Well, I wish it wasn't so cold though." And I had this moment of like, wait a minute. That is complaining. And I'm not judging him. I do the same thing, but it wasn't even conscious. It just really hit me. It just flew out of his mouth. And that's when I realized complaining is so embedded in our culture that we don't even recognize it anymore. We say things like, "I'm exhausted. This sucks. Why is this happening? I hate this weather." And it's constant. Little micro complaints all day long. And here's the thing. Complaining has been so normalized, but that doesn't actually mean that it's normal, because there is a difference between complaining, like expressing an experience, which is emotional processing, and entrenching yourself in the experience, which is what happens when we complain. So it's very important that we get this right. Complaining versus processing. Complaining and processing are not the same. They feel very similar, but they lead to very, very, very different places. Complaining says, "This should not be happening. This is wrong. I don't like this." And then it loops over and over. Same story, same emotional charge, no movement. We complain. And so we become entrenched. And the neural bundle and the neural pathway that's being used when we complain, especially when we loop it over and over, it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And then it's harder to not do that neural bundle because it's practiced. That's how learning happens. And so when we complain, especially if we complain about the same things over and over, we learn to complain, and we learn to look at our life as if it's a complaint. So just be very careful about that. Processing, on the other hand, says, "This is happening. How do I feel about it? What does this mean to me, or what can I make this mean? And what do I want to do with this?" So that's different. You're not avoiding, ignoring, or denying the situation. So not complaining doesn't mean avoiding or putting your head in the sand. It means processing in a healthy way instead. And there's movement in that. There's curiosity in that. There's space when we try to process our emotions and process our experiences rather than complain. And this is the difference in outcome. Complaining literally leads to entrenchment, meaning you're stuck in the same story, the same not ideal story, because it's being complained about, and you're stuck there, and you get deeper and deeper and deeper stuck there. And then it feels like the complaint is even more justified. And so we reinforce that not only should we complain, but complaining is the right thing to do, and it makes total sense. And then we just are stuck, complaining with no forward movement. Processing, on the other hand, leads to freedom. But complaining feels really natural, and there's a reason we do this. Your brain is wired to look for problems. It's scanning for what's wrong, what's unsafe, what needs fixing. It's called the negativity bias, and it's survival. But when that system runs unchecked, it turns into chronic complaining. There's also social bonding. Complaining is actually a way that people connect. We connect through venting, through commiserating. God, can you believe this? This like gossip complaint thing. And it creates a shared emotional space. But it's a low level connection. It bonds people in frustration, not in growth. It bonds people in the problem, not in the solution. And there's also a lack of emotional tools. Most people were never taught how to process emotions. So instead of feeling, exploring, and then integrating, we default to narrating the problem because we have a language brain that we put in charge. So we narrate the problem and then believe the narration over and over and over again. And there's also ancient wisdom on this. This is not new. Buddhism talks about dukkha, which is suffering created not by the event, but by our resistance to the event. So complaining is resistance in language form. Stoicism says, don't waste time complaining about what you can't control, because every complaint about reality is an argument with something that already is. In Taoism, they say the Tao flows. It doesn't argue, it doesn't resist, it moves. And complaining is just us trying to stop the river, which obviously is not going to work. Have you ever tried to stop a river? You just can't do it. Unless you are a dam, and you're not a dam, you're a human. So what complaining actually does, when you complain repeatedly, you will reinforce neural pathways of negativity, like I was saying. And you also increase stress hormones. And you bias your perception towards what's wrong. So then you become even more practiced and adept and skillful at looking for what's wrong, finding it, and then making a story about it. Because what we practice, we can do better. And so because complaining has become so normalized, we've all become so very practiced at it, and now we're experts at it, and we don't even notice we're doing it. Like the security guard that said, can't complain, and then complained right after, not even realizing it was a complaint. So you literally will train your brain to see more problems if you're not careful. So over time, it's not just that we complain more, it's that the world feels worse. So like, this isn't a moral thing. Oh, you shouldn't complain because it's not a good thing to do. No, like, it's because it makes us feel crappy. Like there's no judgment in this. We just want to try to transcend our misery loops. And that's what we get if we can enact some complaint restraint. And complaint restraint doesn't mean suppression. This is important. The solution is not, don't feel bad, don't express anything, be positive. That's not it. Ugh. That's suppression. The solution is to move from complaining to processing, which means you feel it, you name it, you stay with it, and then you let it move. Instead of complaining, which is then telling the story that deeply entrenches it more and more and more. Instead, be with it, welcome it, understand it. Because when you process an emotion, it changes. When you complain about it, it stays. So today we're not going to try to eliminate complaining. We're going to meet the parts that complain, and we're going to meet the parts that judge the complaining. And we're going to do this in about 10 minutes now, like starting now for about 10 minutes. And we're going to do a little shift practice where we just meet the parts that complain and the parts that judge, and then we welcome them both in. Okay. So take a moment now and just take a breath. Let your body settle. Bring to mind something small that you've complained about recently. And just notice what comes up when you center your mind on the complaint. Just begin tapping on the side of your hand and remembering that the shift model here, these are eyes open and repeat after me practices. So if anything I say doesn't resonate for you, don't repeat my words. Instead, just say something that rings really true for you. And if you know the tapping points really well and you want to close your eyes, that's fine. But otherwise, you can keep them open and it works just as well. Even though part of me complains about things, I acknowledge that part. Even though I keep repeating what's wrong, I honor that this is happening. Even though I get stuck in these loops, I'm open to noticing it. Top of the head. This complaining part. Eyebrow. Something's wrong. Side of the eye. I don't like this. Under the eye. This shouldn't be happening. Under the nose. This frustration. Chin. This irritation. Collarbone. This repeating story. Under the arm. This part keeps talking about it. Yeah, so just stop tapping there And notice, what is this part actually trying to express underneath the complaint? You may not immediately know. The part may share or it may not want to share. Just be here and be with. This right here is emotional processing. We are processing now with the complainer instead of complaining with the complainer. So just take a moment, tune into that part, and just let it know you're curious about what's underneath the complaint. And then just breathe your curiosity bigger as we tap again on the side of our hand and repeat after me. Even though there's something underneath this complaint, I am open to feeling it. Even though I usually stay in the story, I'm willing to go deeper. Even though this feels unfamiliar, I'm open to exploring it. Top of the head. What's underneath this? Eyebrow. This feeling. Side of the eye. Maybe it's frustration. Under the eye. Maybe it's sadness. Under the nose. Maybe it's fear. Chin. Something real is here. Collarbone. I can feel this. Under the arm. I can stay with this. Just stop tapping there. Put your hands on your heart if that feels aligned, and take a nice, slow, deep breath in through the nose and a long, slow exhale through pursed lips. Just see if you can notice what emotion or experience is actually here when you stop telling the story, when we let the complaining go for a moment and tune into what's underneath, tune into the actual experience of discomfort. Just notice what's actually there. If you don't fully have a sense of it yet, that's okay. Just allow whatever's happening as long as it feels safe. And then let these parts know, let this emotion know that you're here with it, and it's okay to feel what you're feeling. Even though part of me hates that I complain, I acknowledge that part too. Even though I judge myself for complaining, I honor that reaction. Even though I want to stop complaining and judging, I'm open to understanding both sides. Top of the head. This judging part. Eyebrow. I shouldn't complain. Side of the eye. This is annoying. Under the eye. Why do I do this? Under the nose. I should be better. Chin. This self-criticism. Collarbone. This pressure to fix it. Under the arm. This judge part is trying to help too. Yeah, stop tapping there. Take that nice, slow, deep breath in through your nose and a long, slow exhale through pursed lips. And just tune into the part that's judging. See if it's willing to share what it's trying to protect you from by judging the part that complains. See if it's willing to share. And just let it know you're okay either way, that you're just here with calm, compassionate curiosity. And right now, the parts don't need to be any different. We're just getting some awareness about how these parts work together or work against each other. Okay, last round, and then we're going to do a quick visualization together. Even though I have parts that complain and that judge, I am open to holding both. Even though this is messy, I'm willing to accept what's here. Even though I don't have to fix it right now, I'm open to something softer. Top of the head, all these parts. Eyebrow, the complaining part, side of the eye, the feeling underneath, under the eye, the judging part under the nose, all trying to help me. Chin. None of them are wrong. Collarbone. They just need something different. Under the arm. I can hold all of this. Okay, stop tapping there. Allow yourself to just stay settled. Put your hands on your heart if that feels aligned. Close your eyes if that feels safe, or just cast them down. And now imagine these parts in front of you. The one that complains, the one that feels what the one that complains is complaining about, and the one that judges, the complainer and the feeler. They're all here. Right now, they're not fighting. They're not arguing. They're just present. Now imagine yourself stepping into the middle, calm, grounded, and aware. You're not trying to fix them. You're just holding them. And in that space, something softens. The complaining doesn't need to shout anymore. The feelings don't need to hide anymore. And the judging doesn't need to push. There's just space. Take a breath. Connect to these three parts and tell them, you can stay. You can stay. I want to understand you. And I want to help you feel better. All three of you. Just let that land. You don't need to stop complaining by force. You just need to listen deeply enough to the parts that they no longer have to repeat themselves. So if what you heard resonates with you, then please share this video with those you know who might appreciate this message. If you have questions or anything, you try this out, let us know in the comments so we can help you get unstuck and celebrate your wins. Because remember, DIY wellness means do it yourself, but that does not mean you have to do it all by yourself. We'll be back again next week at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday. Until then, keep taking personal growth into your own hands. Much love, everybody. I trust you, humanity.